You know, property agents are one of the most hated people, regardless if they are doing well financially or being average in their work, or they are pushing too strongly for the sake of a sale, or even giving well-intended advice, they get blasted. I know, because when I put out a video some months back, I received some very nasty comments, including some personal attacks that I think is very uncalled for. Yes, if you've been following me, you probably know that video. I was talking about the reality of 40-year-old or older flats, that if the owners keep those flats for too long still, they might be tricky to be sold. Some viewers saw it as fear-mongering, others said that I'm shifting the problem to the buyers of those older flats. A handful even threatened me on a personal level. But it's okay, I told myself I'm just sharing what is really happening, which can be hard to swallow for some people. But true also, what I said might not apply to every single old flat. But that's how it is. It's still a hard truth for the majority of owners for older flats. Because the reality is, old flats will definitely depreciate in value. If it's not a 40 years old, then it's a 50 years old. Otherwise, it will be a 55. So, thanks to the dozens who not only encouraged me to ignore the nasty comments, but also requested for a meeting to chat about their situation. After meeting with all of you, unfortunately there were a few whom I couldn't help. Not that I wouldn't help, but HDB rules are very stringent to the point that some people will be locked in. But anyway, there was one person whom I met who wasn't locked into his 40-plus-year-old HDB, but he is facing an even more pressing issue. Nope, he wasn't having issues with his flat because he is staying in a 40-plus-year-old private condo. And after speaking to him and doing some research, I reckon the problems with the lease decay of a 40-year-old condos can be even more pressing than 40-year-old flats. So yes, by now you will have heard from many sources about HDB lease decay, including from me. But I haven't seen many talking about the lease decay of private properties. The truth is, if your condo is 99 years in lease, it's facing the same fate as a 99-year leasehold HDB. The only difference, the problems might show up earlier than you think, and you could be losing even more profits. Now, before we get into the worrying part, let's be fair. There are solid reasons why people buy 99-year condos instead of HDBs. For many, it's about the lifestyle, the flexibility, and the status. I myself used to stay in a condo. It's not a fancy condo, but still, it has a couple of pools, a tennis court, a gym, barbecue pits, and best of all, security. My hubby, who loves his car, has always been paranoid about crazy people scratching his car, so he always sells the point about how it's safer to park in a condo. I mean, I wouldn't dispute that, and when my kids were toddlers, I felt safe letting them roam around in the playground. And having swimming lessons for them just downstairs was also super convenient. Not to mention the barbecue pits and function room to host friends and family gatherings. It felt good to us that it was an upgrade in our living standards compared to our matrimonial HDB flat, which we upgraded from. I mean, it felt like a milestone in life, like the next step after BTO, or in my case, a resale flat. To us, we felt that we brought a sense of success. Now, please don't judge me. We were in our 20s then, and we were brought up with this ideal. Anyway, another reason is the freedom and flexibility from HDB rules. With private condos, there's no MOP, no ethnic quota, and foreigners can buy too. Not that I did this, but any owner can sell or rent anytime you want. Of course, there is seller stamp duty or SSD to consider. But still, private condos are more liquid in the open market compared to HDB flats and ECs anytime. Of course, the third reason is also arguably the most compelling, which is the investment potential of private condos. Firstly, investors like condos because they can rent them out immediately. And second, stats revealed that private condos, especially more so for 99-year-old ones in good locations and of a bigger development, can potentially appreciate faster or at least offer better use than HDBs and possibly even freehold condos. But here's the thing, all these benefits come at a cost. I don't want to go too in-depth into this because I've produced another video on this, on comparing a HDB flat to a condo. I'll leave the link on top here and in the comments below. Oh, and while you're at it, can you help me to like this video and subscribe to my channel if you find my content relatable and different to the others you've watched. I'm so grateful to the nearly 2,000 of you who have subscribed. You've given me the courage and energy to continue putting up new videos despite all the negativities. Anyway, as I was saying, there's the element of price depreciation that you must consider too, especially if the condo is 40 years or older. And as I mentioned, the lease decay could hit differently as compared to a 40-year-old flat. Because while you're buying lifestyle and flexibility in a condo, you're also buying into a self-managed system. What do I mean by this? Now, like a HDB flat, the lease clock doesn't stop ticking just because your condo has a gym and a pool. Lease decay means the land belongs to the government. When 99 years are up, it reverts to the state. So like any 99-year leasehold property, when the property hits around 60 years left or less in the lease, more buyers start hesitating. Banks shorten their loan tenure, demand shrinks, and prices start to stagnate. Again, this is the same for both flats and condos. But the main difference in a condo, even before values start to drop, maintenance costs will rise. And this is where the pain begins for condo owners. Because when HDB estates age, the government steps in. There's home improvement program, lift upgrading, and full repainting cycles, all co-founded or managed by HDB and town councils. Yes, owners still have to pay, but they can use their CPF. And even if a small percentage of households couldn't pay, the upgrading still goes through. So even a 60-year-old HDB gets a facelift and new lifts without owners paying the full cost. In fact, if you didn't know, a 60-year-old flat would probably have undergone 2 rounds of upgrading already. But for condos, it's a whole different story. There's no government body maintaining it. Everything from repainting, waterproofing, lift replacements, all this will be paid by residents themselves. Where does this money come from, you ask? Well, every month, owners pay maintenance fees into a sinking fund. Sounds fine until you realize that when major repairs are needed, the fund often isn't enough. In this case, a special levy needs to be raised. For my condo in the past, I remember a case where all 400 plus households had to top up for a major swimming pool repair. The developer's warranty was long over because I think it was around 15 or 16 years in age then, so no choice, we all had to pay. But during some AGMs, some other staff wouldn't pass, like EV charging stations then, and even removing outdoor fitness equipment that no one was using anymore to replace them with some facility that I couldn't remember. My point is, when a special levy gets imposed, not everyone might agree to pay. So for the longest time since my condo TOP in the mid-2000s, the swimming pool, the barbecue pits, the outdoor facilities, the waterfall, which was all the craze in that era, and especially the lifts, all these are still in their original condition. Yes, there was the mandatory repainting every 6 to 8 years. Yes, water sprouts in the children's pool still work. And yes, the gym still has the equipment. But everything was stuck in time in the 2000s. Imagine what it would be if it was an even older condo. Actually, no need to imagine because these have been in the news. Personally, a client told me about her friend who stays in the 30-plus-year-old Fernwood Towers, where the lift breakdowns were so frequent that residents had to raise a special resolution to replace all lifts. Because not everyone agreed, that caused tension within the community. Also, at Loyang Valley, which is around 40 years old, the facilities like the pools and roofs are aging fast. Some owners want to fix things while others were holding out for en bloc, which didn't happen after a third time. So now, maintenance gets delayed and the estate ages even faster. I guess it's now even more difficult to sell, even with the asking price being lowered. And lastly, at a 48-year-old condo along Upper Thomson, residents have been living with water seepage, car park flooding, and spilling concrete. Their sinking fund wasn't enough, so again, a special levy was needed. And guess what's the outcome? Yes, not everyone wants to pay. And this is how private condos, even those that are in a good location with good investment potential, even those that are of a sufficiently big development, can have lease decay set in when it starts to age. Coupled with the reality of a smaller buyer pool for older condos, the complications of CPF accrued interest, the possibility of owners who are 55 years old or older needing to top up their CPF retirement account upon their sales if CPF was used to service the loans, and potentially a magnitude of other issues and regulations, it's probably not wise to hold onto a property anymore, especially a private 99-year leasehold condo when it turns older. Before you start blasting me that I'm spreading fear or causing issues to the subsequent buyers, let me just first caveat here that there will still be buyers of older condos who appreciate them. I know an older couple who couldn't stand living in the old landed because of the maintenance. The children and grandchildren aren't staying with them anymore. So their first natural choice would be to downgrade to an older condo which is still newer, as spacious and less problematic to their old landed. And they don't like the super small apartments in new condos nowadays. So naturally, they will still be willing and happy buyers. Just that the pool will be smaller. Oh, there's one more thing that I almost forgot to say here, which I think could be rather important. It's about the market. I personally feel that we are coming to a peak in a property price cycle. Unlike other agents, I'm not so confident that prices can keep rising non-stop. Perhaps I've lived through a few downtrend property cycles. I feel that we have come to an inflection point that the majority of people aren't comfortable with paying current property prices anymore. And older properties, especially older private condos, might have reached a point where they couldn't appreciate much anymore. So probably this could be the time to consider downgrading to something more affordable but still newer, and hold onto some cash for a rainy day or plan for retirement. What I mean to say is you should perhaps consider taking profits now before your profits start eroding along with the lease decay. Anyway, like the dozens of viewers and subscribers who just wanted to seek another opinion, if you wish to talk to someone reading your property situation, feel free to WhatsApp me. I might not have all the solutions for you, but I am certain I can empathize with your unique situation and perhaps find a solution with you together, right? So my name is Jessica. Once again, do help to like this video, share it with your friends and subscribe to my channel, okay? Thanks for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one.